Okay, folks, Dave Wiley over here in the Tech Building at Gresham Motorsports Park for Garage Talk, and I'm joined today by the ultra-successful career and racer for NASCAR, and that's Bobby Labonte. Bobby, thanks for appearing with us today.
Yep, no problem. Glad we could make this happen and come here to test.
Well, Bobby, you started out at a very young age running in the quarter midgets. Corpus Christi, Texas. You grew up in Corpus Christi. I've been there many times. It's a pretty cool place. And you were successful in that. You came up, you followed your brother into racing, and you got a job working on his car as a fabricator. And then the thing that I find fascinating is you started building your own nationwide car while that part of your career was going on, and you were also running the late models at the same time. Tell me a little bit about that, and what's the benefit of being able to turn the wrenches and get in there and do it yourself?
Well, back then you had to do everything, like that, and you didn't have a lot of money, and you didn't have people that could help you to get the resources to make it easier like it is today. So back then, my college education was working on race cars and day and night, working on mine at night, working on Terry's during the day, and hoping that would be the right success story for me, or the formula that I needed to advance to the next level. And fortunately for me, it was. In today's times, it's not quite the same, I wouldn't think, but it's always good for me to know and have the knowledge of how things do work on a race car. Sometimes it's backwards today of what it used to be because technology changed, but still a nut is a nut and a bolt is a bolt, and it takes 2 wrenches to tighten them up. So there is some things that still correlate there. And fabricating when I was younger and heliarc and setting cars up and stuff like that, I learned a lot from a lot of different, what I would call professors at the time, right. At my college anyway. So that helped me prepare for the future, and then getting behind the wheel of the race car and then making all that happen too. I mean, I think to me that was part of the success, the formula that I needed to put it all together.
I got you. Well, it's an incredible feat, actually, I think, to run your own race team, and as you did when you first got into the Nationwide Series. And don't you think that all that preparation, all that work that you did yourself, when other teams were looking at you and you got your start in the Sprint Cup and you got on with Joe Gibbs Racing and then with the Petties, it was important, especially early in your career, that you had done that, don't you think? Yeah,
I mean, it really is, or it was, and but even at that time there, on a not necessarily on a smaller scale, but we didn't have 4 or 5 employees type of thing, but people is what it's all about. Right. And I had some great people when I started off my nationwide deal, and my dad always helped me out, of course, before that. And then when we moved up, when Terry and I had 2 nationwide teams out of our shop, we had 20, 25 people working there at one time. I mean, that was a lot of people for that period of time, and great people to help out. And they've moved on, and you still see them successful today. So that's really satisfying to us. But it's all about the people. And when you move to the Gibbs organization and the Petties organization, I mean, that's really what those core resources are about, is the people putting the right things together to make it all happen. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of hard work by everybody. And Joe Gibbs has been at it for a long time. They're really successful for sure, but they've been doing it for a long time too. And I learned a lot going there and driving for Joe and for Richard Petty as well. A lot of life lessons that I've learned that might not apply exactly to a race car, but it sure does apply to life.
I understand. Well, when you were with Gibbs, obviously you won the championship. You had several just really incredible years, and then when you went to Petty, you had your the best finish they had in 10 years in the Cup standings. Now you're a little bit later in your career, and you're not up there at the top. What is it like not being in the chase, though? What continues to motivate you? Is it just to get better every week?
Well, I mean, it is, and knowing that you know how you can do it, and you can do it. It's just a matter of putting everything together. It's a big jigsaw puzzle that you put together, and right now the big teams. I mean, that's what it's gone to is bigger and bigger teams. When NASCAR made a rule that you can only have 4 teams, well, that's where you want to be at, 4 teams, and that's what a lot of the guys have, 3 to 4 that are successful. The more successful ones have the quantity and the quality to go along with that. So when you add 4, 4, 4, and then you add a 3, 3, 3, well, that's
most of them,
most of the field. So hopefully this next coming year in 2011 with JTG Motorsports and their alliance with MWR is a 3-car race team basically. So those are the positive things that I haven't had the past couple of years that get me excited.
Well, I noticed looking at your career record that most of the years you have finished better than your starting position, and I think that's a tribute to you as a race driver. What do you think are the attributes that make people successful in the car?
There's a lot of things. I mean, obviously, you got to be, well focused. It depends on. I mean, the people behind the scenes. Your old adage that my dad would say is that races aren't won at the racetrack; they're won at the shop. When you get the racetrack, you just finish it off. But I mean, obviously today there's a bunch of great talent out there today, and it's like it's just multiplied as the years goes on. It's not like it's 10, it's 20 now, or it's 30. And but I think a lot of it just goes back to the race team. Also, is the big thing. But the guy that can give the feedback, give the information back on the race car, and the guy that has the best chemistry or has good chemistry with the crew chief and engineers and stuff like that, and have the desire and all the emotions that go along with it. That doesn't get off on one side or the other side. It kind of stays in the middle of the balance between racing and living. You know what I mean? As far as don't get too carried away with one thing or the other. And probably good balance is a lot, and having good people around you is a couple things. But obviously a talent behind the wheel, and and confidence in your race car and your race team.
I got you. Well, we got one more question for you, or really just a statement. Tell us a little bit about your foundation.
The Bobby Labonte Foundation started about 3 or 4 years ago, I guess now, and I got a guy working for me, Jeff Batts, helping the needy kids and families in our area, in the Triad area, High Point, Greensboro, Winston-Salem area that we live in. My wife and I, my wife's from there, and I moved there at a young age, so that's our home now, and in Trinity, North Carolina. So we want to be able to help out as much as we can there, and we do everything we can to raise money to help in those areas that are in need. It's not just one certain thing. It might be whatever pops up at the time.
I got you. Well, listen, that's great, and we really appreciate you spending a few minutes with us over here at Gresham Motorsports Park for Garage Talk, and good luck the rest of the way.
Okay, thank you.
Dave Wiley over here in the Tech Building at Gresham Motorsports Park with Bobby Labonte.